Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a real head-scratcher of a fault code, U0100, which stands for Lost Communication with the Engine Control Module, or ECM. If you've ever seen this code pop up on your marine diagnostic tool, you know it can be a major headache. It is one of those codes that can bring your entire day on the water to a screeching halt. So, what exactly does U0100 mean? In simple terms, your boat's network, the CAN bus system, has completely lost its connection to the brain of the Operationa. If you see think of it like this. The CAN bus is the nervous system of your boat, carrying messages between all the different modules. The ECM is the brain, making all the critical decisions. When that connection is severed, chaos ensues. The other modules on the network are essentially shouting into the void. Hey, ECM, are you there? And getting nothing but silence in return. The symptoms of a U0100 code are usually impossible to ignore. You might look down at your helm and see that all your gauges are dead. The tachometer, the temperature gauge, the oil pressure gauge. Flatlined, they're not getting any data from the ECM, so they have nothing to display. Another classic symptom is a no-start condition. You turn the key and ... Nothing. The starter might not even try to engage because the system QE and confirm that the engine is ready and safe to start. Or, if you're already underway when the fault occurs, the engine might suddenly go into what's called limp mode or guardian mode. This is a self-preservation feature where the ECM drastically reduces engine power to prevent further damage, leaving you crawling back to the dock at a snail's pace. It's a serious code that demands immediate attention. Alright, so you've got the code, you've got the symptoms. How do you start diagnosing this problem? Don't just rush out and buy a new ECM, that's an expensive guess. The first and most important step is to check the fundamentals. I'm talking about power and ground. A weak battery, a loose battery cable, or a corroded ground strap can cause all sorts of bizarre electrical gremlins, including communication failures. The ECM needs a stable supply of clean power to function, so grab your multimeter. Check your battery voltage. It should be above 12.4 volts, with the engine off. Then, go through and physically inspect, clean, and tighten all your main battery connections, both on the positive and negative side. Pay special attention to the main engine ground and the ground connection for the ECM itself. Sometimes, a simple voltage drop test can reveal a bad connection that looks perfectly fine to the naked eye, if your power and grounds are solid. The next place to look is the CAN bus wiring itself. This is the communication highway we talked about. The CAN network on most marine engines consists of two wires, often a twisted pair, labeled CAN high and CAN low. These wires run between all the different modules, including the ECM, the gauge cluster, the throttle control, and more. The problem could be a break, a short, or corrosion somewhere along this wiring harness. Start with a visual inspection. Look for any signs of chafing, rubbing, or physical damage to the harness, especially where it passes through bulkheads or near hot or vibrating components. Look for pinched wires or connectors that have been pulled loose. A key feature of a CAN bus network is the terminating resistor. These are typically 120 ohm resistors located at each end of the main network backbone. Their job is to absorb the signal and prevent it from reflecting back and causing interference. If one of these resistors is missing, unplugged, or has failed, it can bring the whole network down. With the battery disconnected, you can use your multimeter set to ohms to measure the resistance between the CAN high and CAN low pins. You should see approximately 60 ohms. If you see 120 ohms, it means one of the resistors isn't being seen by the network. If you see an open circuit or a dead short, you know you have a wiring problem to hunt down. Check the connectors themselves. Marine environments are brutal on electrical connections. Salt, water, and vibration can lead to corrosion inside the multi-pin connectors for the ECM and other modules. Unplug the main connectors to the ECM. Look for any bent pins, pushed out pins, or any green or white, crusty corrosion. Even a small amount of corrosion can disrupt the sensitive signals of the CAN network. If you find any, use a good quality electronics cleaner and a small brush to carefully clean both the male and female sides of the connection before reassembling with a bit of dielectric grease to protect it. So, you've checked your power, you've checked your grounds, you've inspected the wiring, and you've verified your network resistance is correct. But the U0100 code persists. What now? At this point, it's possible you're dealing with a failed module. It could be the ECM itself that has died and is no longer communicating. Or it could be another module in the network that is shorting out the bus and preventing the ECM from talking. A more advanced diagnostic technique involves unplugging modules one by one to see if communication with the ECM is restored. For example, if you unplug the gauge cluster and suddenly the engine starts and the U0100 code goes away, you've found your culprit. However, if you've gone through all these steps and the ECM remains unresponsive, it has good power, good ground, and a good network connection, but it simply won't talk, then it's likely that the ECM itself has failed internally. Replacing an ECM is often the last resort. It's an expensive part and usually requires programming to your specific engine and boat configuration. If you do suspect a faulty ECM, it is always a good idea to have a professional marine technician with the right diagnostic software confirm the diagnosis before you spend the money on a new one. They can attempt to communicate directly with the module and definitively rule out any other possibility. So, to recap, U0100 is a serious communication failure. Start with the simple stuff first: battery, grounds, and connections. Then move on to inspecting the CAN wiring and checking for proper network resistance. Finally, consider the possibility of a failed module, including the ECM itself. It can be a tricky code to solve, but with a logical, step-by-step approach, you can track down the root cause and get yourself back on the water. I hope this breakdown helps you tackle the dreaded U0100 code. If you found this video useful, please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe for more marine tech tips. Let me know in the comments if you've ever battled this code and what you did to fix it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.